4, the final day of week 20 of our journey together. Today was the day of the language, paper 1, Bgcse exam.
Yeah, reckoning.
Day of reckoning, you see. And it's good to have a good report. At least you all entered the exam knowing what was expected. Because I had a student today and they said it as is like yeah man, the exam was easy, the exam was good, the exam was good. And I said, okay, so how much paragraphs you had? They said he had 3. He said introduction, body, and then conclusion. I was like, no, it's a 5 paragraph. He's like, what? So at least you all entered knowing what was expected, and I think that also makes the difference too. And then knowing if you know what they expected, then you can describe for it. So that's good. Hopefully your exam actually, your paper, your essays actually was good, and that you all do well on that paper. You have 2 more papers to go, paper 3 and paper 4, and so hoping all the best for those ones coming soon. When paper 3 and paper 4? When is that?
In March?
No, not math. I mean, not math, man. I mean, English. You all know about
I think Monday.
Monday? Alright. I
I
was
think Monday.
in a June or May? Oh, you're not sure. Anyway, I'm looking at the schedule now and it says paper 4 is on the 2nd of June. And then paper 3, no, paper 1 was today. Oh, paper 3 is on Monday, 30th of May. Written comprehension.
That's when our first final exam is.
That's in your first final exam? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then chemistry is
What? 19th to class?
The 31st.
31st of May.
She come to brag, man.
Okay. Alright, so let's dive into it. So what we was doing yesterday? Yesterday we was looking at percentages and percentage increase and decrease. I remember that. Did we finish that? Or we just was still on it, just get an idea of things. So let's continue, do a few more of these, and then we can move from this to ratios, because I remember someone asked some ratios. Nancy, how did the exam go?
It went somewhat better than I expected. You know what I mean? Like, I was scared that they'll show something that I would know,
Okay.
but it sort of give me something I could handle. So,
All right.
yeah.
Did you finish your essay?
Oh yeah, definitely. I had time to proofread and
What?
yeah, because you told me that
Meadows, you say she had time to proofread and everything?
Yeah, I forget.
Because you told me that it was 1 hour and 10 minutes. So last night I figured, okay, how do I plan in 10? So I was practicing it. I mean,
okay.
Yeah. So just question, when it comes to the exam, did one of the questions say the GIF and just blank, or just was my paper that was not printed properly? There was like a question 4 that says the GIF, but then there was nothing else. Is that just my paper or?
I only look at expository question.
I only saw number 3 and I didn't even bother to read the rest of them.
No one paid attention to all the questions. I thought my paper was
No,
like
all I look
all.
at to the word tree.
What?
3 reasons. Let's give 3 reasons.
I was looking
know?
at tree and bull. That's it.
Because the big
I
I didn't
did
even bother to read anything. I say, what? That's my name all over.
I did persuasive. I did too. This one, the one that was easy. To be my brother's keeper. To what extent is this true in the Bahamas?
Oh, interesting.
That was easy. I was like, brother's keeper. I got that. That's persuasive.
All right. You didn't do the parenting thing about the what it was how teenagers disappoint their parents. You didn't do that.
Explaining how parents is that one was gonna be. I got it was our reason, like, even though you teach it isn't my strongest point, I didn't really like develop fully on how to explain the necessary stuff. So even though it was easy, I still didn't attempt it because I was like, I don't wanna get it wrong, and then if I know something wrong, I'm gonna redo it. So if I don't have time to redo a whole different essay, then basically goes to waste. So I go on for something I know. I read everything first to make sure I, pick the best one. Yeah, so that's good. The Brothers Keepers to me was kind of easy because it was like relatable.
That's good. I'm glad you came back.
20% decrease.
20%. I think we already did this.
Oh, bro, you just hold on. So we didn't do
I'm
this.
not gonna be a decrease though.
It should be an increase.
Oh,
Okay, so let's get to it.
20% increase.
It should be a 20% increase, right?
What?
Are we supposed to do it? Let's see. Oh, okay, we didn't do it. All right, what is the percent? What is the percent of decrease from 34 to 17? Right, John's using the percent sign. So remember the formula. Hope you all remember the formula. The formula
yes.
is what?
We convert to decimal.
What? 30.
The formula first. The formula
Or
change.
I use over original times
100 over 1.
times 100 over 1.
Very good. Change over original.
Times 100 over 1.
Times 100 divided by 1. We know that the change is going to be 34 rather, minus what?
17.
17, very good. If you divide that by 100, not 100, if you divide it by the original would be 34 in this case, and then we multiply that by 100, and we divide that by 1. 34 minus 17 is what?
17.
Say it again.
17.
17.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah, that's correct. 17. So 17 divided by 34. And you want to multiply it by 100.
17.
17 times 100 is what?
1700.
1700. 34 times 1 is 34. And what is 1,700 divided by 1?
Hmm?
So yeah. I got 50. So 1,700 divided by 34. So what did we do? 34. We're trying to first we find the change. So it went from 34 to 17. So the change is 34 minus 7. 34 minus 17 is 17. We're going to multiply 17 over 34 by 100. We did this. We multiply 17 by 100. That's 1700. 34 times 1 is 34. And 1700 divided by 34 is 50. So that's 50.
I agree. We could use calculator.
Say it again?
We could use calculator because I work in this out by that one.
By hand?
I'm asking, can we use calculator?
Yeah, you can use a calculator.
So I don't do it by hand.
You won't have to. Say if you won't have to, or you ask.
Okay, never mind. I can do it by calculator.
You mean in the exam or now?
No, I mean now because that's a lot of.
Don't be lazy.
No, are you gonna take a use calculator? That's enough writing for me.
In the calculator board.
Say, what is Nancy or the calculator?
I swear, like, wow.
Saving our energy for that paper tree.
Oh, you mean tomorrow? Well, maybe doing tomorrow.
Biology.
Alright. Moving on.
What date you off next week? Oh no.
If I'm off, why would I be off?
I just asking.
But why would I be off though?
No days off it.
I ain't sure.
I trying to figure why would I be off? What is happening next week such that I would be off?
Could have been like something with your school.
Like what? What could be happening at our school that would make me off?
Well, you know, COVID rising, so
No, I believe it's something that. I believe it's something else. I think it's just COVID. That just seems so random.
no particular reason.
Mr. Petit,
Yes,
I don't think I coming on class next week until tell my exams over on Thursday. I mean, tell my exam over Wednesday. Tell my come on class Thursday because after I done studying, I can be too lazy to come on class. I dare serious. I can be too lazy.
The original is what? 89?
I'd have to believe she's coming even on a Sunday.
I know, right?
Oh, no.
That's hard to believe.
She's coming even on a Sunday. If we had Saturday class, she would get out.
I just was come just to see if y'all actually start.
You mean to be nosy? That's what you mean? Like, 39 over 89. Ain't nothing wrong with being nosy, you know.
Why you times that by oh shoot, hold on. Why you minus that by 50? If it's an increase.
No, 89 by 50. You always put the bigger one first.
Wait, so hold on, okay. And when I put it in the calculator, I have to minus it even though it's increased?
Yeah, even though it's increased, right? Remember the formula just said change, you know. The formula just talking about the change. So the formula doesn't care if it's increased or decreased. It's just what is the change? What is the change? What did the change from? You know? And so even though 89 minus, even though it moved from 89 to 50 to 89, you always put the bigger number first. And so yeah, we have to. Yeah.
So okay, so even though it's increased, so what to be clear, I'm always gonna minus the second number from the first number if it's increased.
No, to be clear, you're always going to minus the bigger number from the smaller number from the bigger number. So always put the bigger number first.
All right. Last question. If I get a decimal, do I like do the same concept, whereas if it's 5, you add 1, or you just put as is? I just do the way you say it is. You put 39.
39. What's
And then you times
3,900? That's 3,900, right? 89 times 1 is 89. And then we divide
why
by
am I getting hold on. This is not right. Let me restart this calculator.
I get a decimal too. One jackal.
No. Yeah, I know I'm crazy. I get a decimal.
yeah, so it's we get
So do I reduce round up or I just keep it the same?
as in
What is it?
just
What is it?
do
What is
the 100% increase from the 50 to 89. Oh, we do it wrong. Remember, it's supposed to be over the original. The original is 50.
it? See, the users do this to us, man.
I'm sorry. The original is 50.
So the original is the first prize.
The original is always the first.
See, this is
See, I should have do it by myself. I gonna just copy and what you put.
Yeah, you're supposed to do it by yourself. You're not supposed to
I
Even the teacher, she calling her.
78. That's just like a mini quiz. I was trying to see if y'all would
yeah, I
see
understand.
if y'all would get it.
Well, we fail.
It's 78%. Right. So you always do. Remember, the original is what we start off with, right? So from whatever number, that's the original. So the original is 50. I mean, yeah, the original is 50. 39 times 100 is 3,900. 50 times 1 is 50. So 3,900 divided by 50 is 78.
Is
78. Alright, this is going to be the last one that we do on IXL. I'm going to go to the past papers and I'm going to find one to show you all how you would see it in your exam.
yes.
Alright. We ready?
Yes, sir.
So it's 78%. Okay, good. So let's take a look at the Bgcse papers and see if we could find percentage questions. We're just looking solely for percentage questions, okay? Whatever we could find from those papers. Where's that accent determined? Bgcse. I don't know. Alright, this is a good one. So do this one for me, please. Fastest variety store is up in a 20% store-wide sale. Calculate the discount on a bag that is priced $80, and then what is the sale price? Alright, so this is exactly what we practice. Please do this for me.
Can I give you the discount price?
Give us a Nancy.
I have calculator, girl.
Show up.
Oh, I forgot. Like, what's
He
Nancy?
said I get this calculator, so I am free with my calculator.
Alright. Give them a chance. Give them.
No, I just plug it. I said no answer yet, man. I like
Oh,
go.
you're
Go ahead.
That's funny.
Well, I was quitting if she was not finished because I didn't put my pencil down.
We'll give her the chance. Kennedy, where are you? This is where you shine.
I'm gonna give it to them. It's
Why?
their time to shine. They're retiring.
You tired? What happened? Swimming.
No, I'm just stressed out.
What? Wow. Nancy, counseling skills. Counseling 101.
You got this, girl. Don't let the one stressful day Ooh, that's even. I can't even say stressful. Wow. Wow. You can get better, Ken. You can get better.
Great
Trust me.
question.
You can get- What you do today, though? You do nothing much, eh?
I mean, I guess it's just like I had like a bad thought. I was overthinking. Like if I fail this exam, we had to start over grade 9. That's embarrassing.
You ain't gonna fail, Kennedy. You're not gonna fail. Where's Alicia? Alicia Rackley, the voice of reason. Can you counsel the words of advice for Kennedy? Alicia probably sleeping, you know. Who else? Floyd. Bethel. He should be up. Mr. Bethel,
Hello.
any words of advice for Kennedy?
Say hello.
Oh, by the way, how did the class did on the exam, Mr.
Don't let
Petit?
your today influence your tomorrow.
Don't let your today
Amen.
influence it tomorrow. I like that. My advice would be push through it. Push through it. You can have many more days like this. Push through it. You know, just like a baby, just like a mother, you know, pushing out a baby, and she's going through the most excruciating pain, provided she don't take no painkillers. But she's going through the most excruciating pain, and then the doctor whispers in the ear, push. Like at the very moment when she's feeling the most pain, he tells her, push. You know, because when the baby comes out, the joy of the baby will overcome the pain, the temporary pain. So just push through it. You're only in grade 9. You have a lots more of these coming. You know.
Yeah,
All right.
you're right. Thank you.
Mr. Petit?
Oh, I didn't forget we had exams. How easy that was.
Mr. Petit,
Yes, ma'am.
how did the class
Can
do
y'all hear
today?
me?
Yes, Miss Rackley, go ahead.
Sorry, my phone dropped in the water
Oh.
this morning, so it freaked.
Oh, okay.
So, Kennedy, it's best not to speak negativity over like your exam stuff because that's where you put in your energy. So even if you feel like you ain't like do the best, like still speak positive. Like words are very powerful. The tongue is very powerful. So despite your feelings, still speak positive over your exams. Say, I passed, I've already passed, I didn't clean this, I didn't speak this in existence. So that's my advice.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
And this is powerful.
This is powerful. Right.
I get goosebumps.
Okay. Oh, what is something else? I didn't know you was
Mr.
that funny, you
Petit,
know. All right.
Mr. Petit,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to know how the class did today in the examination.
But that's even asking this question.
I want to know.
Mr.
Oh, she don't
Petit,
want to know.
you
If
just
she wanted
been
to know,
tuning her out.
if she wanted to know, she would have been there early.
I couldn't come here early.
But you and Bob finish it off. Uh-huh.
I was studying and I got lost track of time.
We figured. All right. Okay. After this question, then we'll discuss it. But we gotta get the question right though. Miss Cooper, what did you get?
I didn't have my answer already. But
Mr.
you know,
Petit, I done got my answer, and I know these. Hold
What
on.
answer?
I know these right, bro. I know.
16 for the more.
Okay, I agree. 16.
16. All
Yes.
right. Kennedy.
what you want to know? What you have that paper Cooper for real now?
No, I saw the God. I'll say.
No, what you have that paper Cooper?
All right. Kennedy strikes back.
Yes, sir.
All right. 20% of what?
100. Oh, gee.
Let's see. Calculator, mom.
Nancy Pagari.
Buster Variety is having a 20% store-wide sale, so it's going to be 20% of the original price. So it's going to be 20 over 100 multiplied by 80 over 1. There's multiple ways that we could do this. We could change this into a decimal, or we can cancel out. Miss Cooper even sending me screenshot. That's proof. I did this by myself. 2 times 8 is 16.
16.
The discount on the bag is $16. What is the sale price of the bag?
64.
Yes, sir. I got that. I got that, Mr. McKee.
You know what, Miss Kennedy? Don't say your answer yet. Let Miss Cooper say your answer first.
No, because I don't want to be wrong, so I can't say my answer first. I promise. I promise you'll be here all day.
All right. 10
Come
minus
on.
6 is 4, and 7 minus 1 is 6. 64. Very good, Kennedy. So this is your percentage questions. What's so hard about this? Miss Cooper especially.
Huh?
What's hard about this?
I just don't like these.
They're not
I
like.
did it. I don't know why. I don't know why, actually. I just didn't like it.
Yeah. But now you know how to do them, so enjoy them.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
All right. Can I move it?
Yes,
That's
sir.
all.
All right. Okay. So right along. All right. So that's the percentage questions on this. I don't know if they have any more um, percentage questions. Days of the week, mode, perpendicular lines. They should have one more in there, you know. Ratio. I like this one. This is a good one. Mr. Smith purchased 80 pens. He discovered that 50% of them were faulty. How many pens were good? That's all yours. 15% is faulty. How many of them were good?
$12?
12. Right? Anyone else?
I get 56. Oh, I know. I don't know what they do.
Why not 68?
Why not 68? Okay. All
I
right.
take back my answer and I don't have an answer.
All right. Anyone else? All right. So let me go ahead and do it. So they're saying that 15% of them were faulty. So 15% of the 80 pens is faulty. And so that means it's going to be 15%, right, of 80, right? And so that's going to be equal to, we could cancel these two zeros. So we are left with 15 divided by 10 multiplied by 8 over 1. So that equals to 15 times 8 is what?
15. 120.
20 over 10. So 120 over 10 is going to be equal to 12. And so that means
Are you putting $12?
$12. Thank you. That means that not $12. That means that 12 of the pens, right? 12 of these pens are faulty, right? Which means they are not working. They are not good, right? But they ask here how much pens are good, right? And so we know
Oh,
we know that 12 of them are not good. So how much of them are good?
68.
68.
Bro, I
80
read that question multiple times.
minus 12. 1. How you saw that?
Learn it from you.
You learned it from me, exactly.
I realized when you when you underline the word faulty, I was like, oh, it's over good.
Yeah. Kudos to people who actually go over the videos. We actually did the scratch then.
Yeah, we did. I remember too.
Yes, I remember it.
I don't remember it.
You just remember stuff. So that's
Listen, we never did. At least I was in your y'all
you
did.
was there. We was there in real life.
No, I
We did,
wasn't.
this was very recent. We did this very recently because I remember we did the whole
Oh,
2019 paper very recently. We just
that's
did that.
I probably just write it and then look at it because I
Probably
never 5%.
probably like week 18 or so.
Wow. I tell you, I really hate percents. I probably didn't
Don't
look.
keep on saying that. Then you could really hate it for real.
No, like I actually did mistakes. Like I felt like it was hard.
Hmm. Hmm. But now you see that it is like taking candy from a baby.
I mean, it's still a little bit hard.
Just reading the question. That's all you gotta do. All right, let me know when I can move it.
I don't.
Okay. But you understand how we got 68, right?
Yes, sir. I
Right.
just didn't read that part.
Yeah. All right. So next up is he sold the good pens for 50 cents each. How much money did he make? He sold the good pens for 50 cents each. How much money did he make?
$34.
$34. That sounds right.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. You're always agreeing.
Just
No,
selling pens. Wow.
oh my
Just
gosh.
selling pens, right? Um, but he had to sell 68 pens though. How long is it gonna take him to sell 68 pens?
It
I
must have
guess
a
it
good time.
depend
Like
on the
that fly.
season.
Heights, that's the year, probably. I mean, that's the time in his exam or something.
Or
Yeah,
back to school.
them back to school. That's
Back to school.
Yeah.
8 times 0 is 8. Um, 8 times 5 is. I wouldn't do it like this. It's just easier to do it. Sorry. It's just easier to do it with 68 on top and 0.5 at the bottom. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 6 is 0. 0. 5 times 8 is 40.
Listen to you sure can't use a calculator because when I was adding to the bottom, she did not say a answer.
Because
No, now you know me. I will never use a calculator.
I don't believe that. I don't not. That's actually say that.
that's
I
how
don't
she
believe.
say that. That sounds so.
That sound like she beat that calculator.
Look at that. We have an undercover calculator. At least Nancy
Or
is
that
on
shit. She did that.
with a calculator. 6 times 5 is 30 plus 4 is 34. Alright, so it's gonna be 0, 0. Kennedy already smart. With the calculator, boy,
Exactly.
that's
That's
taking
like insane.
that's taking advantage, right? So $34. All right, so that's how much he made with that. Just multiplied. I noticed what I did. I multiplied 0.50 by 68. I didn't do 50 by 68. Right, so be careful.
You won't believe I did 50 times 68, and then I was like the 0.5, 0.50, and I just put the decimal point, say $34.
Okay, that's good. Because you can't make 3,400 or 50 off
No.
68 pence. All right, so moving right along. I think
I
that's
guess it depends on the type of currency you're getting.
he's not gonna make 3,400.
I always flawed with these, just, I don't know.
50 cents each, and it's only
Well, I
68
mean,
pence.
some currencies, they have big values, but it
Oh,
ain't
you
very
mean like that
valuable.
way? Oh, you mean like that way?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. This is investment product per hour. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so no more percentage in this particular exam. So we go to the 2018 one. Decimals, cost, elapsed time, sequences, index. Oh, okay, this is a good one. Quick one. Carl scored 14 out of 20 marks on his mathematics exam. Express his score as a fraction. What would that be?
7 out of 10. Wait, oh no. No, I'll be back.
14 out of 20. Alright, don't reduce it. Write his score as a percentage. Give me one moment, please. Alright. Alright, write his score as a percentage.
70.
70%. That sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Give me a moment. But before I go, I want to figure out something because I got talked for 5 minutes. Let me see if I can find a nice percentage question in this particular exam. I don't know if they have it for this one. Like a good percentage one.
10 hours later, I get 70. Just saying.
70%. We have mode. We have those things. Twice as many oranges. Oh. Do this one, please. No. This is higher purchase. No, that's not that. Let's see if we can find a good one. Alright, I can't find a good one yet. But do this question for me. I want to see how y'all do this. Do this one for me. I come right back. I'm at 5 minutes.
Later.
Wow. I have an answer for that.
All right. So who do we get for this one? Hello.
I do a lot of stuff, but I guess something.
What'd you
Me
get?
too.
What'd you get?
I um I have 114. I do a lot of stuff.
Uh-huh.
I know very right. Yeah.
114. All right. Anyone else?
I get 113.
You have 113. How did you get that?
Mr. T, I had to subtract, add. I just want all you get it the
You don't
quicker
know how I
way.
get it. The quick way.
Please, because no, I subtract, divide, add everything.
Okay. So Jack and all right. Floyd, where Mr. Bethel?
Potato, please.
What happened?
I looking at this knife. It's peculiar.
This is
Perplexing.
I want to see how you do it.
Perplexing? That was perplexing. Where Nancy?
Yeah,
Y'all didn't ask Nancy. Nancy on vacation.
seems like this one might need a formula or something.
I need a phone.
Sorry, I stepped out. You call me?
Did you do the question? Number 11.
Anna's 96.
She didn't. You missed the fun.
I could do it now.
Well, okay. We can give you 1 minute. Wrap it up. 60 seconds.
And it started 7 seconds ago.
You moved the question. Hold on. And
Because Cooper, you could be an invigilator.
She could be a vigilator. At least she could tell you the time you out.
Yeah, but the time was supposed to start when it started. No, when you feel like it should be
Yeah,
announced.
yeah.
okay, to be clear, right? The question is basically saying A has, I just to make it short, 96, and then B got 130, right? And then how much B could give to A for them to have the same amount?
Yes.
And you just minusing 130 from 96 to get 34, and then you'd be like, she'll give Ann $34 to make, so two of them got the same amount?
No, mom. No, mom.
Hey, what? All that I
Because
doing
you
is
have to find
actually.
It ain't that easy. I wish it was that easy.
No way.
No, wait, 96. Hold on.
Okay.
Nancy, if she giving
I don't see
money,
your way,
that means
Mr.
she ain't got 130 no more.
She ain't got 130 no more.
But then you say you want them to have a balanced amount, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
If
but she losing money though.
no, but then she would have 90. Ann would then have 130, and Brenda would have 96.
Oh, I'm thinking like, okay, hold on. You want them to have the same amount.
Same amount. Yes. About the same amount.
Hold on.
I go 113. That's what I
Right. You gonna want
Hold on, let me,
speculate 113. Okay.
hold on. Can I have one
But you
minute?
still didn't tell me how much she must give to her. You won't tell me how much she must give. You just tell me 113.
I go with 113, but hold on.
She must give them.
She must give us $17.
Give us
yeah, $17.
All right.
Boy, oh boy.
I did 96 plus 130, and then I divided by 2, and I get 113. Then I minus 113 from 96, so it's 17. She'll give her out of her cut, and then you'll have to balance the same amount.
All right.
That's counting right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to balance that ledger.
Mm-hmm. The way I do it.
Oh, see what you do.
I just use algebra. So I'd say let x be the amount that Brenda must give to Anne. Then the following holds. And so well, I mean that 130 minus x, because x is the amount that she's gonna give to Brenda, right? So we're gonna take away x amount. That's what Brenda's gonna give to Anne, but that's gonna be equal to 96 plus x, because x is gonna be the amount that Anne is going to receive. All right. So this equation, hopefully it makes sense. 130 minus x. X is the amount that Brenda is given to Anne, but that's equal to the amount that Anne has plus the amount that Brenda gave her, which was x. Okay, and then from there we just solve the equation, and so it's gonna be, we're gonna send the 130 over, and we're gonna send the x over, and so we have a negative x. This is positive x, so it becomes negative x still, equals to this equals to 96 minus 130, and that equals to negative x minus x is going to be equal to minus 2x, and 96 minus 130 is negative 34. Then we want to divide both sides by -2. And so x is going to be equal to
Who would have thought of this, Mr. Batista? Like,
34.
like why?
34.
I thought of it.
You thought of it. I know, that's fine. That's true.
I say, me and worded algebra in.
So x equals to 17. So the amount that she must give to Anne so that they could have the same amount is going to be $17. Now, obviously, there's a trial and error method. You just could.
Read, I think someone tried to enter, you know.
Yeah, I heard. Thank you so much. There's a trial and error method where you can just try and add. Say start small to start with like $5.
Mr. T, I got 114, but I guess.
Yeah, try and add small amounts first. And so you could try $2, you try $3, and see how taking away $3 from 130 would affect the 96 and so on. Then do it incrementally, step by step, and then you could do it like that, trial and error.
Oh, you keep my way.
Yeah, that's like guess and check. You know what I mean? Guess and check. And the first time I did that question, that's the way I did it. It's not until I actually got the answer.
You really remember that? How far back?
I remember that part. I remember. Because I was like, how I should do this question. I couldn't think of the algebraic way off the bat. But then once I got the answer, I'm like, oh. And then I was able to come up with an algebraic way to get the answer. So, guess and check. Or do it by algebra. It's up to you. Right, so with that being said, let's move on to bearings. I love bearings, man.
Yes, you have to love bearings.
I love bearings. Bearings is interesting.
Mr. B, please don't show me no more language.
Come on, man. That was just an essay, man. That was just an essay.
Today, do you realize I realize I'm in the middle exam. I know the start it. I know the finish it.
I thought about that yesterday. I was like, wow, I didn't review how to conclude and how to support and everything. We mainly focus on the introduction.
These are get off.
Yeah. And not that we haven't done it in this class before, but it's just that I didn't do it that night. Look at these quadratic equations. Wow. These exams used to be good back in the day. Nowadays, they just playing with you. We did this. We did that. That was 2009, 2013. Let's say 2013. Give us a good question. So we have bearing. We have vectors. Vectors came in 2013. We also had, of course, the quadratic equation. We have the plot. This one is volume. So the cylinder and then cone volume. We have to add two volumes to find the volume of the entire thing. This one is functions. Hopefully we know how to do functions. This one is trigonometry. Straight through. This one is similarity. We haven't really done similarity like that. We have to do that before y'all see y'all exam. Of course, this one is, probability, the regular stuff, circle theorem.
Which we this weekend, can we please do the graph thingy with the trans something? I don't remember the name.
Transformation?
Yes.
You want to review that?
On Sunday, please.
Sunday transformations. We want to focus on transformation. Okay, we could look at transformations on Sunday. Was there anything else that I needed to go over on Sunday? We have the transformations and what else? I wanted to also look at some more bearings questions too, because I feel like that's also needed, but they haven't tested that. Okay, this is the scale drawing. Okay, they haven't tested it really. Nope. To the Ricardo, can you check your 2021 paper to see if you see any bearings on that? Because I'm not seeing any bearings on these. No bearings on that. 2018, do we have bearings? Oh, we did the bearings on 2018. We did that. That was this one. This one with Peter and Anne and Robert. We did that. And for 2019, it's our final one that we could check. This one is also a scale drawing. I mean, I could show you how to do the scale drawing since they brought it again. This one will look like no, this is not bearing. No, okay, so the only thing that we have is a scale, another scale drawing. Let's do that one.
That's what it makes use.
Sure. All right, so let's do this. So for this one, this is his game one. Paper what? Paper 2. Okay, so paper 2, they gave us a scale drawing. When they say scale drawing, that means that you could use your ruler and your compass and your protractor, and the measurements that you get are the actual measurements, right? And so, all right. So with that being said, we have fishing boat B and lighthouse P and lighthouse Q. And here they say that 1 centimeter represents 0.5 kilometers, right? Now they say calculate the shortest distance in kilometers between lighthouse P and lighthouse Q. Right, so we're on the shortest distance between lighthouse P and lighthouse Q. So the shortest distance, right? If they asked you to do that, how would you do that? Remember, this is a scale drawing. So how would you calculate the shortest distance for this one? What would you do?
Draw a straight line and measure it.
I love it. Draw a straight line. Because the shortest distance between any 2 points is a straight line. Always remember that. The shortest distance between any 2 points is a straight line. And so what we're going to do is we have to draw a line that connects lighthouse P and lighthouse Q. Draw this line. And this line, once we already draw it, in the actual exam, then we would measure its size. Okay, so draw that and then measure its size, right? And so this is going to be from P to Q. All right, from P to Q. From P, lighthouse P to lighthouse Q. All right, from lighthouse P to lighthouse Q. So let's say we measured it and we got 6 centimeters, right? What would be our answer for A? Hello?
6 a.m.
Not 6 a.m. Because they say they want to calculate shortest
Oh,
distance.
and so it'll be 12 km then.
Not
I mean,
12.
wait, it's 1 cent or 1 cm, not
One
percent.
centimeter.
3 kilometers.
3 kilometers.
3. Yeah, sorry.
So 1 kilometer, 1 centimeter equals 0.5 kilometers. So 1 centimeters equals to 0.5 kilometers. So if I want 2 centimeters, right, then obviously that would be 2 times 0.5 kilometers. If I want 3 centimeters, right, how much kilometers would that be? That would be 2. So that would be 3 times 0.5. And so similarly, if I want 6 centimeters, right, that would be 6 times 0.5. Right, so the answer is going to be 6 times 0.5. Make sure show this working, by the way. And it's going to be equal to 3 kilometers. All right, so 6 kilometers.
So this percentage in a way then,
Why is it percentages?
because that's also how you get percentages
Mm, I don't
like
understand.
that, and that's 50% of 6.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's not percentage. Don't think of it as percentage. Um,
Could you
okay,
go back on the slide, please?
sure, no problem. So again, we would draw a line from lighthouse P to lighthouse Q, right? When we measure it, let's say we got 6 centimeters. They want the shortest distance in kilometers though. We know that 1 centimeter equals to 0.5 kilometers. All right, and so that means that 6 centimeters is going to be equal to 3 kilometers because it's 6 times 0.5. Any questions on this? Let me know, please. Any questions?
We're gonna have to use cosine rule.
No. If it's a scale drawing, there's no need to use cosine rule. And I want you to tell me why, Mr. Becker.
Because you could just measure
You could just measure it.
the lines itself.
Right.
What if they wanted angles?
Just take a protractor and measure it.
Oh, that's so true.
So what does that mean you need when you go inside the exam?
Protractor
That means
and a ruler.
we need a geometry set. So people who are in Bgcse invest in a geometry set if you don't already have one. So you come in the exam with a calculator, a pen, a pencil, and geometry set. Make sure come with them. All right?
So we need the long ruler or the ruler is coming there.
Both. Bring both. All right, so the next question that they ask us is they want us to measure the bearing of lighthouse P from fishing boat B. So measure the bearing of lighthouse P from fishing boat B. So tell me, how would I draw this bearing first? Because in order to measure it, you have to know how to draw it. So how would I um, draw the bearing of lattice P from lattice P?
Start with your north,
Which point do I go to?
point B.
Point B.
Question about B.
Yeah, go to B. Then of course I make sure I draw my north here. It's already drawn for me, so that's good. Then what do I do?
You take the counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise? Counterclockwise is this way.
You wouldn't do it that way?
No.
No.
Always clockwise. Always clockwise. So we start from north and we go in this direction. And we have to stop at Lidos P, right? Oh, Lidos P, so we can't stop there. We have to stop at Lidos P. So Lidos P is going to be from north all the way to so let me confuse Lidos P. No, we want to stop at this at the first one I have. That's true. Because Lidos P would be this particular one. Right?
So based off, you could ever base this off your intuition to get the degrees.
They want us to measure, so we don't want intuition now. The measurement, not an estimate. So you need to be accurate. So if you have something like this, then you have to get your protractor. If it was me, the protractor looks like this, right? And of course it has the different strokes and so. Now,
I think it would be like around 70 degrees.
70. All of that?
You don't think so?
Remember, I know this look like this is a perpendicular, right? But remember, this is okay. I wish I could actually let me show you what I mean. Let's take it and actually. So this is what we have.
What year is this, Mr. Petit?
2019.
Okay.
Let me see, 2019. Let's see, paper 2. 2019, paper 2. And so what we have here, if you look carefully, right? If we would have put this, let's say we would have put this as a base, like so, right? That looking more like 30, 45 more so. Can't be all of 70 now. You see what I'm saying, Mr. Patrick? Means what?
It means I can consider your observation, but I really don't want to let go of mine.
No, I mean, because think about it. I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't let it go because it's clearly you're wrong. No.
LOL.
Outline is this. Okay, look at this angle. How that could be 70? Well, let's see. It's pretty close to 90 for sure, 90 is, yeah, and not far from 90. So it's definitely not 45.
Wow, Mr. Bethel.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah. We're gonna go with 70. 70 seems okay. 60, 70. I don't know, like 70 though. Yeah, 70 is a good estimation.
So did you just say clearly you're wrong?
Yes, clearly Let's put a protractor against it. All right, so let the bring this down, and we have to put that down. So let's bring this to the bottom. All right, so that looks about right. Now, wow.
70, 75.
Almost
Wait,
there.
hold on.
If we continue the
That's like 73.
73.
Look more like 60, 80.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. 1978.
mm, 65,
66.
66. Yeah. So 70 was in a off too bad estimate.
You're lying, little cricket though.
Which one?
You're lying, what you draw from now, no.
From it? No, that's all right. That's all right. That's fine. Yeah, 60. We'll go with 61. All things remain equal. Thereabouts.
61?
No, 66. Sorry. 66. If we move it a little more, that'll be more like, yeah, 61. 61 is a good estimate. All right, so let's say it's 61. So measuring this with a protractor, we got 61. So you actually have to measure it 61 degrees.
61 or 60.
66, sorry, 66. Thank you.
Why do you say what?
66, thank you. And it's 66 because, well, this is 60. This is 65. So this is 66. And so that would be 66 degrees. Okay, so that's how you would measure it. You don't need cosine rule to find the measurement and anything. You just actually measure it. And you know that because it says it's a scale drawing. Okay?
I like this way better.
You like Of course you would.
With more practical rather than
More practical.
theoretical.
Hey, but theoretical is where the heart is, right? That's where it is. Um, Theoretical is better because there are gonna be some cases where you cannot actually do the measurements. So you have to know the theory. Right? All right. Or just buy a program that has the theory built into it. That works too. Um, so the next thing is we want to calculate the bearing of the fishing boat from Lidl's Cube. So let's grab this guy.
Could you go back to the last, the slide before this? Just so I could take a scroll. No, can you have it up?
So in paper two, they're not gonna, force cosine rule on y'all. Um, there's gonna be little light bearings. So if bearing comes on paper two, more than likely it will come on paper three. Um, so I
So
guess
just master paper 1 and 2.
so I guess pray that it comes on paper twos, because if it comes on paper two, at least you don't have to bear, you don't have to deal with bearing, you don't have to deal with cosine rule. Um, But if it don't come on paper too, expect it for paper 3. But it isn't so bad. I like cosine rule. So hopefully.
When you gotta use the sine rule.
Sine rule, you don't need sine rule. You don't need sine rule for bearings.
No, I mean like in general, what that sine rule for?
Sine rule does exactly what cosine rule does. But cosine rule just does it better. Like those two rules, you could use them. Um, like okay, sine rule. The only problem with sine rule is that you need 2 angles in order to find the side. All right, so but with cosine rule, you only need 1 angle to find the side.
Also, cosine always superior.
But well, no, because for cosine rule, in order to find a missing angle, you need all 3 of the sides, right? But for sine rule, you only need 2 of the sides, but you also need um, 2 of the angles too. And so, um, let me say it.
So, but the setup would be the same though.
Let me say it properly.
No, no.
I think I'm saying it wrong. Let me show you what I mean. So, if we look at it, right? So, let's say we want to find so the difference between sine and cosine. So let's say, right, we want to find, say, so we have a regular um, triangle. For cosine rule, you need all 3 of the sides. All 3 of the sides in order to find a missing angle. Because remember what the formula said. The formula said cos of A is going to be equal to B squared plus C squared minus A squared divided by 2BC. Right? So you need all of the sides in order to find a missing angle. Right? But sine rule, you don't need all the sides to find a missing angle. For sine rule, all you need to find a missing angle is you need one side. You need its corresponding angle, right? You need a next side, but this corresponding angle could be missing, so we don't need to have this, right? So for sine rule, all you need is 2 sides and an angle, and you can find a missing angle. But for cosine rule, in order to find a missing angle, you need all 3 of the sides. See what I'm saying?
So we'll have to identify that in the exam.
Yeah, you have to identify in the exam, but usually cosine rule works for bearings. Usually, that's typically how they set it up. It's set up such that cosine rule fits nicely for bearings.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. All right, so I think let's move forward.
So where's C then?
Where's C?
Yeah.
You don't need C. That's the thing. You don't need a third
Oh,
side for sine.
so it's what sine A.
It'll be sine capital A over sine. So it'll be like sine capital A over A equals to sine capital B.
So cosine for missing angle.
Cosine is for missing angle, and sine is for missing angle. It's just depending on what you have. So if you have all three sides, then we use cosine rule to find this missing angle. If they only give you, if they don't give you this third side, but they give you two sides and one angle, you could find this missing angle. So it depends on what they give you.
Mr. Matthew, what
Hmm.
topics you use sine in? Because like we wasn't using it that much.
We was using sine rule a lot at the beginning of the class. So when they give you like a right angle triangle, like for example, I can tell you where it's perfect to use sine rule right now. And we have y'all just forget quickly.
No, because I mean like these topics we doing now, like you've been using cosine rule more. That's what I mean.
In recent times, but we've been doing sine rule so much that I was like, man, I have to do more sine rule. Let's see where sine rule will come into play in this exam. No, not there. Nope, not there. Nope, not there. It didn't really show up in 2019, but so I didn't show up in 2019. That's the word. Um, but these sort of questions always come up. Let me show you what I mean. So every time you dealing with like a triangle, um, a word problem dealing with a triangle, sine rule. So for example, not this. Okay, for example, something like this. Anytime we dealing with these sort of stuff, like angle of elevation and a triangle like this, sine rule is gonna be, you're gonna use Pythagoras theorem in sine rule. Is what just what you're gonna use sine rule twice. All right, so sine rule is perfect for these sort of questions like these. All right, I wouldn't recommend cosine rule for this. Sine rule is the way to go.
So cosine rule could work.
Cosine rule, I'll have to look at the question, but last time I did it, cosine rule couldn't work for one particular part of it, and so sine rule was your only option. So for questions like these, you wanna use sine rule. For bearings, you wanna use cosine rule. So let's go back to this bearings question to finish it off. Um, so here they said that they want us to calculate, interesting, it into a measure. Calculate the bearing of fishing boat B from Lido's Q. Calculate the bearing of fishing boat. Is this the third question? Okay, yeah. Calculate the
I'm
bearing.
gonna do one like this lighthouse is me.
Was it scale drawing or no or no scale?
I don't think it was a scale drawing, but we do some with lighthouse and boat and all that.
They always do boat and stuff bearings. Maybe it's the port or
Oh,
they always do stuff like that. Calculate the bearing of fishing boat B from Lido's Q. So what would be this bearing? How would we find that? Excuse me.
Start like that's cute.
We start at Lighthouse Q. Very good. We draw our
no, but just be
right, and then we go in which direction?
clock
Clockwise. Very good.
clockwise.
Clockwise. So we're going clockwise. So this is the bearing right here. So how would we find that?
We'd have to measure it.
You have the measure it. What would you measure?
The the angle inside.
Yeah, so there's a different way. There's a certain way you could do. I mean, it depends on how you want to do it. There's multiple ways to skin this cat, right? What we could do is we could find out what this angle is, right? Once we find out what that angle is, let's say we find out that this angle is 26, right? How would we find out what it is?
Just
Gotta equal the 180
Yeah, the 180. Why you say 180?
360.
because I thought we was looking for the angle for B.
Um, I don't understand. I don't understand what you mean.
So we just calculating the arc then. How
Yeah,
much how much
yeah,
the arc turns?
we trying to figure what this whole thing is. The whole reflex angle is. All right. And so if we know this is 26,
Whole entire thing
the
is
whole
360, ain't it?
the whole entire thing is 360, but we're trying to figure out the whole of red, all of red.
Okay.
Okay.
So take away 360
From what?
from 26.
Yes, take away. So we get
Three 334.
334. So that's 360 minus 26 plus 360 minus 26, which gives me what? 334. And so that's how we would figure out what would be the bearing of fishing boat beat from Lido's cube. We find out what this middle one is.
Listen, did I say 360, but you didn't say that?
Sorry, my apologies. 360 minus 26. Yeah, that'll be right. That's how we'd find out. So we would have to take a protractor, measure what this little one is, and then once we get that, let's say it's 26, then you would subtract it from 360 to get your bearing. That's why they say calculate, right? All right. So any questions on that?
Listen, T,
Well,
like it could be like different answers, but it could just be close. Like if someone get 333,
yeah, yeah. It'll be close because they're measuring. All right. Next up, we have C. All right. Sorry, not C. We have D rather. All right. D says that another fishing boat sails west, a distance of 5.8 kilometers from Lido's Peak. Calculate the length west from Lido's Peak that this would be on this drawings on the scale drawing. How do we figure that out? Why y'all so quiet? How will we figure that out? We want to know how much it would be on a scale drawing to give us 5.8.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Ricardo, Juan, Alicia, Nancy.
That's like 11.6 centimeters.
How you get that?
Like double it.
So again,
I just double it
why would you double it?
uh, because when it was the other way around, we had to divide it.
We divide it? What did we divide?
Mr. Batik,
Yeah, so
We divide.
they converted back to centimeters.
yeah, they're saying if we know that the distance on this thing is 5.8, what would be the distance on the actual graph? So convert it to centimeters.
Yeah, you're saying back when they asked us
I was thinking about the
to,
question.
to do centimeters to kilometers, I had to divide it
What did you
to
divide?
convert it centimeters by half. So I would assume the inverse is to double it.
Mhm. Well, remember, this layout was 6 centimeters, right? Um,
Yeah,
in order to find the actual, um, you know, measure distance, excuse me, it was um, 3, right? 3 kilometers, right? And so
that is correct.
that means that whatever the actual thing is, right? In order to find the scale drawing, you have to twice it, right? So you have to times it by 2 to get the scale drawing. So the actual thing is 3 kilometers. The scale drawing is twice that, is 6 centimeters, right? And so the same thing if we go in west, right? Have a smoke. So we going west from what? From Lidos P, right? And this is 5.8 kilometers in real life. We know that the actual, sorry, we know that the scale drawing is always going to be, that is always going to be 2 times um, whatever the actual amount was. And so it's going to be 5.8 times 2, which is 11.6. Okay, so that's how we get 11.6 centimeters. All right. Any questions on that?
Mr. Batik, so why we have to double it?
Well, remember they say that 1 centimeter represents 0.5 kilometers. Right? And so that means that if we have um, 6 centimeters, the actual measurement would be 3 kilometers. And so that means that if we have 3 kilometers actually, right, on the scale, on the drawing, we'll actually put twice of 3, which is going to be 6. Right? So similarly here, they give us the scale, the actual measurement, which is 5.8. And we need to find what would be on the scale drawing. So just like how we multiplied by 2 in order to ensure that that's 6, we're going to multiply by 2 again to get the um, the centimeters, because it said 1 centimeter represents 0.5 kilometers. And so that means that we have to take 5.8 multiplied by 2 to get the scale drawing, right? So that's why we multiply by 2. Does that make sense, Ricardo? Or you need to be explaining it another way?
I mean, I understand that way.
Okay. All right. So
Can you go back on the first question, Bless?
the first question. I see.
All right.
All right. All right. So that's how we go. All right. Moving right along.
But you don't think it unfair?
Well,
Like you gotta learn so much things you don't like, almost master it to just to do the things you like.
no. Um, that's what discipline is. That by definition. You know, discipline is doing what you absolutely hate, like you absolutely love it. Um, because anyone could flourish doing something that they love, right? That's not where you're tested. You're tested when doing things that you absolutely hate. And certain things, they are, um, certain things, and then also it helps to prevent you from being imbalanced too, right? Because let's say someone who loves art, being artistic, right? That's their gift. They love it. Um, they have the proclivity to, or the tendency, or the affinity, whatever you want to use, to to only do the things that they like, and so um, and so therefore they become unbalanced, right? And so I think you have certain subjects just there to keep you balanced, um, and to have you exposed, and to have you doing things that you otherwise would not do had it then not been a mandatory part to it. Um, and then the another thing too is that you know you're young, so you don't really know what you gonna do. And so you would imagine someone saying, "Well, I started from young. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an artist." And they're young. They growing up. When they actually go into the field, they find out that, my goodness, I love working with patients, but golly, um, the staff here is just horrible, or something they find is just horrendous. Like, what do they fall on, right? Uh, well, if they did a lot of wide range stuff, then stuff that they didn't thought they would need, then well, they can end up falling back on that. And so, mm, well, no, I just have to do it. Go through the ropes.
So what's something you find disturbing as a teacher?
Oh, off the record, um, man, Miss Cooper, you have good eyes. You don't miss nothing.
Bethel, do you have any notes on biology, like book for paper 3?
Well, Bethel don't have.
I have questions. If that's what you're asking.
Like answers with it?
Nancy, what more you need?
Mm-mm.
I gave you the
Mm-mm.
answer.
Uh, no, it's just I'm asking him for something.
Also,
I,
Nancy, you ever contact the teacher?
I I lost the number. But then the next exam next week, though,
Mr.
like,
D.
can we solve my issue
No,
by
but
next week?
you gotta go over the paper 5. What up?
True. You could send a number again, please.
Mr. D.
Yes, sir.
The paper of bearings.
You have bearings?
Yeah.
Paper two or paper three? Or
Paper
paper
3.
paper three? You serious? So let me do that before I go. Um, yes, do this homework, please. That's what I wanted to. Oh, we maybe should do this. I think we should do this in class. Do this homework. This one. It's a good one. This 2014 um bearings question. Nancy, you realize that book of paper three,
You gave her a booklet, Miss Petit.
I did.
Yummy.
Oh, how much more she want? Oh, she want to know how to answer it.
No, it have answers
Uh,
too.
what?
Well, what
Blank
Nancy
and blank?
she want to examine.
Nancy, I trying to understand what you asking for.
Maybe she want a study partner. My.
I could study alone. Mr. Petit, well, you see, some stuff are not correct, so I gotta Google search some stuff. So I'm looking for something with like all the correct answers. You know what I mean? Not to, I didn't want to say anything, so I just was quiet.
Correct? I mean, it's that that is not made yet. I don't think no one's created that yet. The thing with the lady that's the best we have so far.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
stuff I still have to wind up Googling because like it don't sound right. Because like when you have the answer to the question, you know that it's off. You know what I mean? So I'll have to end up like Google searching some stuff. Not everything, but like okay, it's okay. It's like if I don't know a subject, but then like if she has stuff prior to it that's wrong, how do I know I'm getting like the legit information? Sometimes I cross section it with like the videos Mr. Knight like posts up. So as I go, I will like correct the notes you have on my on like on something else.
Okay.
Yeah, but he don't go all the way back to 2010, so I can't like cross mark paper threes with something that I don't have like correct and like low like can confirm that this is the right answer. You know what I mean? So
Okay. I think
that's
I think she's that off from what I've seen.
no. I'm not saying that she's that off. Just that if like you could find simple like if you could find like other mistakes before that, you try like you're gonna question, okay, is this one right now, or like you know what I mean? It's just like it's like a head thing for me, if you know what I mean.
I think you're overthinking it. I don't think that she has. Of course, every document, especially made like that, because obviously to do all them papers, kudos to her to do all them papers in a lifetime with all them correct with all them answers to that. That's a lot. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I understand. That's why I was like quiet, but you had to call me out.
I was honestly trying to figure out what was the issue. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. But I mean,
Plus,
definitely that's gonna be an issue. I mean, that's simple. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So um, so take it for what it's worth. Um,
hmm
you know, I don't think that that it's so bad that it cannot be of any use.
no, it's not bad at all. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I just wanted something to compare to.
Right? That's the hard find. There's nothing on the market that does a job like what she's done. Nothing.
Nah, Nancy, I think you could like collect questions you're not 100% sure on, and then contact Miss Williams, and then just go over them with her and see how. perspective from it.
Yeah, I want. I want to contact up a paper 5.
Yeah, that's where you get your money worth because you're getting exactly what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Answers too.
Yeah, makes sense. So do this one for homework, and let me see the one that Ricardo sent me. What his name is? You didn't resend it?
All I do right now.
Just the bearing question.
Go back now. I think that's it right there.
Yes.
Right there. Check. Check through them.
If I still have them. Okay. That's matrices. Ah, nice. Okay, this is good. Do this one for homework too. We could do this. We could do all 2 days on Sunday because our time is gone from we haven't done social studies in RK in forever. So
And we do it last week.
we didn't do that last week. Remember what happened? My phone was my laptop.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Well, good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night. Have a wonderful night.
Good luck.
Good night. Good luck on your biology.
It's blessings, luck.
Boy, I know she can sleep tonight.
Boy.
You try to play any butterflies in a belly.
Mr. Bethel, no, please.
Yeah, no more scared.
So
She good, man. She just overthinking it.
yeah, that's typical Nancy. Um, good. So this one for homework, please. Um, social studies. I asked you all to do something for homework for social studies. Did anyone
All
do
right,
it?
good night. Good night.
Good night. I did. I asked you all to do something for RK homework and then for Kennedy.
Yes, you did. You did.
Kennedy. You send it yet?
Yeah. I sent that from like 2 weeks ago.
You actually send it, or you
I sent it.
email it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. That's no surprise, right, people? Shame me, please.
Listen to you know I did it. Like, come on.
Huh? You did it? Yeah, right.
You know I do that. Like, come on
No,
now.
I do that. Not Cooper. Cooper don't do none of my homework these days. What year that was? Miss Kennedy.
Miss Kennedy is a master at social studies.
Master of everything. Let's see. Classes. I will not be coming to classes.
Chieftain.
See, I did your homework. I see no. I see
You
no.
know, you see how Kennedy start talking. You know she do something.
This is Tuesday, April 26th. This might be it. Oh, there's Kennedy in real life. Mm,
Why is she flaunting that paper now?
The document. It was a document.
the document. Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Oh wow.
There's an essay though.
No, I remember. Wow.
Document. Can you resend it? Cosine Rule.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. What year that was? I gave you. Mm, 2019. Was it wrecking that I gave y'all, um, or
Proprietary government and farming for social
proprietary
studies.
proprietary government farming? So it wasn't this. So I haven't proprietary government and farming. This lawless as crime. Bottoms of the place false face. Oh, okay, there we go. See farming, and then like papaya. That's okay, good. All right. Um. So let's go. Um. Let's begin with farming. What is the meaning of the word farming? Wait, Cooper, I ain't get your stuff. Cooper, I ain't get your stuff. You did it for real, or you just yes or no?
No, sir.
No. Oh, what happened, Cooper? All right.
I ain't gonna lie, I didn't remember.
You didn't remember. Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. So, what is the meaning of the word farming? And then two types of farming conducted in the Bahamas, and then three problems. I think we can answer these in a flash. Bethel is here, so we have nothing to worry. I don't know. Bethel, why you sticking
Hmm.
around? Why you sticking around? And you have bio in the morning?
Yeah, I do.
And you don't take social studies and stuff? You love learning, I don't
Listen to you. When you
I mean, I don't see a problem why I should know what farming is too. You know.
that's true. I love it. I like how you think. Um farming. Farming is what? So you come in our summer classes, we have the summer classes, right?
For who?
Um I separate in the class. I doing advanced and I doing um advanced and elementary.
Intermediate.
Not elementary. So yeah, that's how I do it.
So that's BGAC and
so
BGCS.
you doing different days for each or
No, I did the same days, just one start earlier because I can be summer, so the elementary can start at 4 and in advanced can start at 6.
and then what? And then what?
At 8.
4 to 8?
6 to 8, 6 to 8.
I mean for BJC.
BJC.
So that's 2 hours apiece.
2 hours apiece, yeah. 4 to 6, 6 to 8. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
During the summer though,
Summer, yeah. What else you can be doing in the summer?
enjoying life.
Hey, we
Enjoying
ain't
life.
got no
Enjoying my summer.
we ain't got no current for that.
Listen to you. I could be enjoying life, chillaxing,
You could be forgetting all
and
the material that you learned. That's what y'all could be doing. Forget all the material.
No,
Yes.
but
I never
listen,
forget.
I can
Anyway,
have them
it should
right in
be
my brain.
this is the fly I have. I mean, this is the booklet really.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, we getting ready for summer. Class
We
gets
can have class on the beach.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm ready for that.
yeah,
I'm ready for those summer classes because you
nice.
gotta enjoy life.
Hey, listen, enjoy life. You can enjoy that all day. Come
You gotta
classes.
have the tools to enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Listen to you. Who comes home 4 o'clock first of all? That's what I want to know.
Oh, but y'all be home in the summer playing game, run up and down the yard. I
Yeah,
be in that
yeah.
too.
We having summer classes on the beach.
Yeah, we going at the beach.
I wish.
All right, so let's get this. So farming is what we'd say. Google
I
definition.
say the cultivating of one crop.
It's
I
not.
know.
It's not only one crop. So because that also deals with growing crops and also raising livestock. So you have to include those
Listen
two.
to you. I think she trying to say of one's crops.
of one's crop. Okay, okay, okay. Well, that could work, but you need to include also raising of livestock because that's included in farming. So we say farming is the what we could say is the activity of, and it's also a business. So the definition also includes business as well. So activity of business of what? Of growing crops and raising what? Livestock. That's a Google definition. I think it's appropriate for this as well. So you come in, Mr. Bethel, or are you gonna chill out on summer?
Ah, depend on what the subject is.
Another subject, okay. Just math and English. I can send you the curriculum. It's more of refresh. It's more like to keep the mind refreshing, you know. So some people just forget. Um,
Yeah, I understand.
yeah. I mean, not
But I ain't really taking these for no particular reason. I just wanted to experience what the other people experience.
oh, okay. Okay. All right, that's interesting. Um, but yeah, the reason why I think summer classes is important is because, well, um, I find that a lot of students just forget what they learned previously. So if I start back and forth, I don't want to, have to, although it will have to happen, you have to review again, but like, um, a lot of students forget the things that they learned. And so the only way you keep them is if you keep continuously going over them. And then the next reason is that, well, um, not only do they forget, but
Well, isn't it inevitable
it's inevitable,
that
but
you would forget as you
some,
progress?
no, but some things you don't never forget. And the only reason why you don't never forget them is because you do them so much. Like, classic example, 2 plus 2, 4, you never forget that. Like, you ain't gonna forget that. Like, if you forget that, it's insanity because you do it so much and you're so familiar with it that you can't forget it. Like, you just can't. Um, so certain things in maths, um, you just have to continuously go on over it so that it just be commonplace for you. You know what I mean? And so that's one thing. And the next thing is that
Ah,
you have a lot of you have, it's a fact that no school finishes the curriculum. Like no school really does that. Um so summer class is also there to kind of also um help the student to bridge the gap, you know, and filling in the missing pieces that wasn't filled, you know, during the regular classes. Even for us, we got exposure into different topics, but we didn't really for every topic go in depth and depth and depth and depth. So summer classes is there to, dwell on some more with these things. And also learn new things too. I can't wait for summer languages week awesome. I can't wait for that. Um but yeah, that's for those students who need it too. Um so if you find that you want to come, you know, that'll be good. Um I especially want Cooper there because she makes class alive. So I gonna
Hello?
hello. I gonna cry.
Yeah, my name.
I gonna cry to her mommy and say, please, whatever you do, make Cooper come.
Mr. T, I wouldn't even joke with you. Mr. T, don't even try that. Don't even try that. I swear.
Well, we'll see. After I already talk to your mommy, we'll see.
Because if you talk to it over, like it's just over.
Well, Miss Cooper, she did well, but I feel like she could do better. And
Oh my god. I said, you, if you do that, Mr. T, when I come in class, I talk it.
oh my
You
god,
do. Because this is I try to enjoy my summer. Like, I tired.
you can enjoy your summer.
I tired of my virtual teacher. Like, I just tired of when I come from school.
Hmm.
I ain't tired of your classes, right? But just coming from school and coming into school again, and from 9 to 3, them teachers don't want to be making no sense. Just saying.
All right. So we have two types of farming in the Bahamas: subsistence farming and commercial farming. Subsistence farming, that deals with what?
Small machinery.
Small machinery. What else?
Farming for yourself or your family.
Farming for
Personal,
yourself.
personal, personal farming.
Personal, yeah, personal gain. You know, you eat what is provided. You love a little to share. The machinery and equipment that you use is not sophisticated, not expensive because you're doing it personally. Um, Commercial farming. That's
Heavy machinery. That's for when you like export to different places and stuff like that.
it's done on a large scale, right? It's done for profit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Problems encountered in the Bahamas with farming.
Bad soil.
Infertile soil,
Poor soil, yeah.
competition,
Yeah, competition from what?
the US,
What else?
America.
What else?
Uh,
Volatile weather.
Volatile, well, I just gonna say it, hurricanes, right?
oh, what was that?
Oh,
I think I put lack of support.
lack of support. Oh, like a lack. Let's remember that lack of support from BNG. You know, we like to buy U.S. products.
it take no mind.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
What?
Uh huh. We like the the strawberries and the bananas that come from the states. They more yellow looking. They ain't bumpy.
That's true, you know.
Yeah.
The banana from the States is be white. And like the banana
I'm
tree is be
not
yellow.
wrong.
Yeah, but they more natural and better.
Wow.
Yeah. Tastes different though.
Tastes different. Yeah, but hey. Um, but they say explain. So you have to explain what we mean by poor soil. When we say poor soil, what are we talking about? Why would we say poor soil?
No.
Not suitable for growing crops.
Not suitable for growing crops. Um, Limestone rock mainly we have, and the problem is our soil. Like first of all, it's limited because we don't have so much space. And also like when you use a soil, say for a certain period, over time, you need to allow that soil to rest, right? So that it could regain itself. It can so that over time nature can carry those processes so that the soil can get um, better or at least back to where it was.
It's the key. Which
Rejuvenated.
paper this is?
That's the word. But when we keep on overusing it and keep on using the same part of land and growing the same type of crops on that land, the land get fed up and they like, you know what, y'all, you know. But also poor soil really refers to the lack of nitrogen and phosphorus and stuff
Which
like
paper
that.
this is?
This is paper two. Um, it really refers to the lack of those essential minerals that are needed.
The year?
The year 2018. Yeah. Competition from foreign markets. Of course, we're talking about the U.S. Um,
Important.
and how they're first of all they are able to make more crops than us. They're able to do it faster and they're able to make it look more appealing, right? And so you know
And
we
it's actually cheaper.
thank you so much. And it's also actually cheaper, right? And so they're able to bring way more value, right, to the market, and but as far as compared to Bahamian stuff, it doesn't look as appealing. It costs a little bit more. Um, it's not consistent. You know, um, there's a natural bias to what we're used to, and so that's what they have to deal with. Hurricanes. How does hurricanes affect the farmers?
Ruining crop.
Ruin their crops. In particular, what elements?
Pests.
Oh, we didn't mention pests. Yeah, and that's a good
Yeah.
one. Pests. Hurricanes. Let's continue discussion on hurricanes. What else? When we talk about hurricanes, like, what do we mean? What is the real danger when it comes to hurricane and crops?
Displaces them.
It displaces the ripening harvests, right? Like what in particular? The wind. So be specific. So the wind would um would
Yeah, the wind like uproot them.
would uproot the ripening harvest, or um the flooding, right? If the hurricane comes with a lot of flooding, so a lot of rain, it would end up put too much water, right? On
Mr. Mati,
Yes, mom.
you could write the way you explain it because I was trying to write it in my book, but I didn't get them. So.
Okay, all of them.
Only three for C.
Yeah, take notes, Miss Cooper.
I gotta take notes. Um, all right. So poor soil. I'm just gonna mention stuff. I'm not gonna really write it into a sentence, but hopefully you can
Yeah, I only
understand
need you to say like, so I
what we
can,
mean. Okay.
yeah.
All right. So poor soil, we're referring to lack of essential um, nutrients for um, you know the development of the crops, and those nutrients we're talking about is nitrogen and phosphorus. Um, so the Bahamian soil is not, say, rich um, in these nutrients. So supplementation with fertilizers is often the way to go. Um, and over time,
Mr. Mati, we like put all that to explain
sorry, it
one.
just it just comes. Sorry. This
Cause
sorry.
I over here like this can follow the whole.
You asked for notes.
No,
It's
I just wanted
uh-huh.
like not everything, like just
Uh-huh. You can't put
if
everything.
you say you ain't gonna put all that, I was
I
like
I
okay.
wasn't planning on putting all that. It just comes, you know, deprived, right? And so the next thing we talked about is competition from foreign markets. So foreign markets,
Listen to you say, and so the Bahamian is not rich in these.
the name and soil. So competition from foreign markets. So foreign markets are able to produce.
Mr. Petit,
Uh-huh.
on the exam for poor soil, I had to put all of that, or I only got to put the first sentence. I mean, not first sentence, like where you stop at prosperous.
Cooper, explain the thing, right?
But
Explain it.
I ain't all that space.
Explain it. Ask for more paper. Um, competition with farm markets. Farm markets are able to produce more crops. They're able to produce crops which are more appealing, right? Um, they are, we'd say, they are more appealing. They are cheaper, cheap. Um, so they look better. They're cheap. Um, they are um, what's the word?
Readily available.
Readily available like that. So there's the idea of
That's everything.
competition.
Bananas supposed to be in season always.
These things are seasonal stuff, man. They find a way to make it evergreen. Um, cheap, readily available. So we have the idea of consistency. And what else can we say? They're appealing, they're cheap, they're readily available, and um,
Okay.
yeah, just a lot more. I guess readily available would come under between a lot more. But okay, you say that's it. So okay, good. All right then.
This will see the first one take up the whole line, so I can write the rest.
Um, then lack of support from hurricanes, of course. When we talk about hurricanes, we're talking about um, uprooting. Sorry, the wind, right, from the hurricanes can uproot the ripening harvest. It can, and the rain can cause a lot of flooding in the farm area. It's not good for the crops as well. And then, lack of support from Bahamian consumers. We don't like to support our own. Um, you know, we like to, you know, use what we're used to. So that's the thing. Um, so then there's that. And then we have pests. The sort of pests um we had before for the cotton plantation, for the loyalists. Anyone remember? Remember? This one destroyed the crops of the loyalists.
I know what you mean, but I don't remember what it means.
Yeah, the China bug. This caused them a lot of problems because it devastated their farms. But I mean, nowadays we have we have
I
pesticides.
can finish right there. Too.
So so that caused them a lot of problems there.
So that's expository again.
Say it again.
That's expository writing.
Mm, that's what your exams are really made up of, and that's why it's important to master that craft. That technique comes in all most exams. It comes in history, it comes in social studies, it comes in arcade. That's the humanities. You know what I mean? That's the humanities. Can't run away from it. Um, it comes even in French and in Spanish. How was your vacation? Well, it doesn't come in French and Spanish because they are actually more narrative stuff. So, like, how was your vacation and you know, how was your holiday and those sort of stuff. But for the humanities, yeah, you can need to know how to.
They,
Yes, sir.
them French and Spanish, they got like 7 and 9 papers.
Yeah, that's because you know,
I finished.
you're not done. One moment. Let's see if we could at least get to another one of these questions before we go. Um, farming is a dying industry. Kennedy, what you said for this question? You agree? Disagree? Farming is a dying industry. In the Bahamas.
I agree. I agree.
You agree? Why you agree?
Like if you put a comparison with farming and tourism, it's a huge difference. It's slowly dying.
Slowly though.
Still dying.
I feel like people farming now that COVID came out
What
and
ain't dying though, Kennedy? What ain't
wars
dying?
came up and stuff like that, so they farming for vegetables and stuff.
Okay.
Well, I used to agree because it was easier to explain.
Explain it. I think you could go both ways with this.
Yeah.
But it depends on what you say. You know, what I mean,
Mr. Patel, let me get a picture, please, so you can move on.
okay, no problem. Yeah, I mean, if I were to be honest, I don't have enough data to say, is it a dying thing or is it a flourishing thing? Um,
It is
uh,
dying because of global warming.
oh my goodness.
The water reserves from the what you call them? The where they keep the water, them through the dams,
Hmm.
they getting lower, wrecked by record low, and farms are the majority users of water, so it end up having to cut them down. So
No man,
they'll eventually go out of business.
don't go so abstract, man. We talking about Nassau, Bahamas. We ain't have no dams. Um, so in context, right? Like, what could we actually say that would, you know, and I mean, there's no data over our heads that we could pull out. Um, is a dying industry. So the question is, was it ever booming? That's the question. Was it ever booming? Farming.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. I'd say so.
subsistence farming.
Subsistence was way better than others. You know what I think? You know what I think is a good in thing to this, to say disagree. I think disagree is a stronger point. Now that I think about, like, because, well, there's a lot of things that contributes to um this it being a dying industry, um well, the Bahamian attitude towards farming. What is the Bahamian attitude towards farming? This is just classic um making a Bahamas book.
Takes
Bahamian attitude
too
towards farming.
long,
Yeah,
time consuming,
it's taking
or
too long,
boring.
satisfying. Um, so the Bahamian attitude towards farming, is not good. Is not exemplary. Far from it. Like, they have a bad attitude towards farming. So, um, they believe that it takes too long. They believe that um, it is for foreigners. Um, they believe that I spelled foreigners wrong. They believe that the sun is too hot. And so there's that attitude that Bahamians typically have towards farming. It's beneath them. What word we could use? It's unbecoming. It's beneath them. It's not something that they should be doing. That's contributing to making what reason why it's a dying industry. Another thing is that um I believe that the Bahamian um traditions also are dying. Um, the Bahamian culture is dying.
So you are agreeing that.
I am. Oh, so I'm agreeing. Yes, so I'm agreeing that it is a dying industry. Thank you. What could we say? Well, we know that a lot of activities. Can we say technology? Or can we say? We can
Well,
say.
I could say the government don't
Um,
invest in the farming industry
I
as they
mean,
doing.
we have Bgcse, program that was developed. We have. Um,
They broke.
okay. What could we say? Maybe we could talk about how. Um, can we say modernization?
Okay, so when you say that, what you trying to
I'm saying modernization of um, the the nation really, because as opposed to so back then, um, subsistence farming was um, was commonplace. You know, I hear all the time the persons who older than me, they talk about how farming was a part of their way of life. You know, that was a part of their
Yeah, that was really embedded in that.
yeah. If you really listen to people who are older than you, they would talk about how they would have to go and get the peas, rise up early, pull the
That's all they
peas,
talk about,
that's
Mr.
all they
D.
would talk.
Trust me.
You know,
Oh, I had to carry a bucket on my
yeah,
head every
yeah,
morning.
you know,
If I didn't plow that
yeah, yeah.
that ground, I would not have to eat.
Yes, farming is part of the life. Um, but because of the modernization of the nation, things have changed. So
What aspect of farming you talking about?
I like well certainly certainly the the readiness to accept Bahamian products um is a part that I'm talking about too, because I'm like, okay, because they used to do it more back then, they were not unfamiliar, you know. So and so there wasn't great skepticism towards certain things. Like they'll say, "Oh, that's mommy," he just selling mommy, or he just selling dilly, or he just. Nowadays, you ask someone, "What is mommy?" And how do you eat mommy? And how do you actually cut it? And when it's time for it to ripe? Some people can't tell you that. You know what I mean? Um, and so I think that the reason why there is not so much support with the Heyman products is because there's skepticism. You know what I mean? Like, but the skepticism only comes from when you don't know, when you're ignorant. You know, and
So there's
so
a disconnect between the modern and the postmodern.
yes, there's a disconnect. You know what I mean? Um, there's a disconnect between um, the former generation and now. Um, I remember hearing
Oh,
Mr.
you know what ironic, Mr. D?
what's ironic.
Although the society stopped farming, you remember when Facebook was in its earlier years, they had a game called Farmville. Everyone was farming on that.
Everyone is farming. That's true.
Everyone was
Everyone is
farming.
farming. Yeah. Back then, since the things have changed, um, and really cause it, uh, and I think tourism really caused farming because before then you had to depend on your crops to survive. But when you get a hotel that comes in town and they're looking for people, you just go to the hotel, make your money at the hotel. You don't have to farm. You know what I mean? In order to make a living. And so the hotel industry has really gathered a lot of people who otherwise would have, you know, stayed into farming or stayed doing something more hands on to get them carrying towels for people. And so, that's caused it. That's modernization and development. Uh, so things have changed.
T, could we say people stay indoor most because of technology and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, 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 yeah. You know, um, the next thing it would be so tourism really played a part. Modernization of the so the Bahamian attitude, modernization. Um, what else causing farming to be a dying industry? I think a lack of intense
Well, it's
um
surely in a prestigious
yeah
Occupancy.
It's not seen as a prestigious or occupation, but I would say lack of intense and consistent subsidy subsidy from the and promotion from the government. More attention is given to the other industries. So that's and that's that. You know, so that's a reason. Kennedy, what was your points again?
I just copied the one from C. I just say competition, S, and yeah.
Yeah, competition is also that's true. Very good. So the problems. Oh, you piggyback from the problems. That's true.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Lack of support, hurricanes. That makes so much sense. That's true. Yeah, that's true. It is a dying industry because of the challenges that's happening. Um, you know, then there's that. All right, so that's that. Let me know if
What industry ain't dying?
that's the thing. What industry is not dying? Um, anything to do with I would say online things. They are more in the up climb, up climb now because you know
Yeah, but however, the infrastructure to sustain them is unsustainable.
I wouldn't say
You know
that.
how much water Google them is used? Hundreds of tons of water, like every second. You'll be
For what?
like mind blown how much water these use
For what?
for cooling the computers, keep up the network.
Wow, I never even thought about that. Um, but I mean in recent times, you talk about up climb in terms of like, for example, like what I'm talking about is like, say because of um because of say COVID-19, right? A lot of persons um sought more um online measures to do things that they would regularly do in person. Um, and so that had an uptick um, that I don't see. Um, I don't see us going back to how we originally was in terms of um, what I mean is that um, COVID-19 gave technology a boost that had that never happened we wouldn't have that boost. And a lot of people who was not in tech savvy had to learn. You know, they were forced to learn. Um, and so that's a good thing, especially for a nation of ours. Like for example, the passport, place where you would, go on lines and stuff. Now, because of COVID-19, that the implementation of doing your passport online, and a lot of these, and then also banks also start just resorting to online means to submit documents, you know, do different things, and so that has received a shift in terms of what these businesses are doing better since COVID. I mean, I think everybody received a hit, um, but some people thrived in this time. You know, some people thrive at this time, especially the stores. You know, um, you know, um, they was open even in spite of the lockdowns, but yeah, but everyone received a hit. You know, especially the tourism industry. Yeah. Okay, so then there's that. So that's that. See, and then what did we say we supposed to do for arcade before we leave? We have to do arcade, and then on a good note,
On with leprosy.
the man with leprosy, Bgcse, religious class papers,
Well,
18 or 19. Okay.
But one of your students have a negative influence on me.
What do you mean?
I catch myself today saying, "Oh, Saba."
Saba, what's that?
it's Osama.
Yeah, I catch myself saying, "Oh, Saba." It's like, what the heck?
Never, bro.
Who would say that?
I would know.
The island gal.
Would
The
I?
island gal.
I get that from Gary, bro.
I never know if you say that.
Yeah,
She
all
always
day.
saying that.
Listen to I say that all day, every day. My auntie so is get so mad. She say I is Gary twin, bro. Like I say that all day, every day.
Really? I never realized you say that.
Cause I don't even say it in the chat. When I type it in the chat, I don't say
Oh,
it
you
like,
type it in the chat. Okay.
yeah.
Oh, that Mr. Bethel, that's on you. You're supposed to be paying attention, not reading chat.
She say that too.
She don't say that. I would know. She don't say it like that. KJV. All right, so these questions rather comes from um this is Luke chapter 5. It says, "Sir, if you want, you can make me clean." So the first question is, who was the speaker and to whom was he speaking? So you have to go back to the
The
text.
man who have leprosy, I think he was talking to Jesus.
You think the man who died that was talking to Jesus? Okay. Um. All right. Let's look at Luke 5 verse 12. It says, "And it came to pass when he, meaning Jesus, was in a certain city, behold, a man full of leprosy, who seeing Jesus fell on his face and besought him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou can make me clean. And he put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately the leprosy departed from him. And he charged him to tell no man, but to go and shew thyself to the priest and offer for thy cleansing, according as Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them. But so much, but so much the more went there fame abroad of him, and great multitudes came together to hear, and to be healed by him of their infirmities. And he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed. Okay, so that's the story about the man who had leprosy. He came to Jesus, um, and
I
Jesus
get
ended up,
excuse for a second, please.
sure, Jesus ended up touching him, healing him, and telling him to go to show himself to the priest. And the fame of Jesus came more and more. So who's speaking to him? Was he speaking to Jesus? He was speaking to, who do we call people who have leprosy?
Lepers.
Lepers. Very good. Um,
Outcast.
explain fully why the speaker was considered to be an outcast. So why was lepers considered to be an outcast?
Because they thought if you had any incurable diseases, it was like a punishment from God.
Yes, very good. Very good, Michaela. Very good. All right, you know your stuff.
We just do this in class today.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
not really. She asked us questions.
Okay. All right, that's good. Describe how the speaker was healed. How he was healed.
He
Wow.
asked God, he said to Jesus, if you want to, you can heal me.
Yes.
And then I ain't gonna lie, I forget what
And
happened
then
there.
Jesus placed his hand on him.
That's important. Jesus laid his hand on him. That's a very important part to get your mark. You have to say that Jesus touched him. That's a very important part of the question. And then immediately he was healed. Um, what instructions were given to the speaker after his healing?
Don't tell anyone about this.
He didn't say that. Let's see.
And
Don't
Oh,
tell any
oh
man.
yeah, yeah. Don't tell no one. That's true. Don't tell anyone. And what else?
go to the church
Go to the priest.
and offer something for cleansing.
Go to the priest for examination. So after you are clean, only the priest could declare that you are clean. Only the priest could do that. Even though you are, you know, healed, you can't make that determination. You have to go to the priest for them to examine you. So he had to go to the priest for the priest to examine him, and he had to follow the requirements of the law of Moses to be reinstated back into society. Um, there's something very important about this story that is very surprising, is that Jesus touched the leper, but he didn't get leprosy. That's a very important part of the story, which shows that
My God.
which shows that he has power over diseases. So that's very important to note about this question. And that's why Jesus touched him specifically, just to show them that he has that power. Sometimes it's okay to break the law.
So leprosy was transferable by contact.
Contagious, yeah, it is.
Yeah. So was he considered outcast?
Who?
The man with leprosy.
Yes, he was. And Michaela eloquently explained why. Because
Oh, I was in here. Sorry.
yeah, that's no problem. He's considered to be an outcast because when you have leprosy, they think that they consider it to be a curse from God because it's incurable and it's very devastating. So they figured you did something to deserve that.
Plus, it's a
Sometimes,
contagious disease, so that's one of the reasons.
that's true. That's a very good point, Kennedy. Sometimes it's okay to break the law. Agree? Disagree?
For a good
I
reason, yeah.
agree. For a good reason.
For a good
It
reason.
depends on what constitutes the law.
It depends on what constitutes the law. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. What do you mean by the law? A good example of this, I would think about the Holocaust, right? When, according to the law, it was wrong to, um, you know, bring certain people into your house. You had to, um, you couldn't, you had to turn them in, and these people were not criminals. They just was
I
people.
use what is needful is lawful phrase.
Use what is needful. That's true. Yeah. So sometimes the government will tell you to do things that are not right, and sometimes you have to break their law to do what is right. It's strange, but it happens. And so, yeah. I wouldn't dive in. Our time is up. But
To what degree though? Like what law? Which law? What kind of law they talking about?
you have to frame it. So if you want to talk about a specific law, you have to define that in your essay, and you have to define to what degree you agree or disagree.
So they ain't talking about no laws of physics or that.
Good night. Have a wonderful weekend.
Of course, Floyd has to say something like that.
I'll try to.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. Good night.